happen. So let's take a deeper look at how our program actually works. So the 4-8 Men method rests upon 3 main pillars, and we call them the firm foundations, rebuilding the temple, and then kingdom accountability. So let's go through what each of those actually look like. So the first pillar is the firm foundations, and I named it that because we have to get these things in check before we do anything else on our weight loss journey. And under this first pillar, we have 3 sub pillars. The first one being kingdom community, and I took inspiration out of Matthew 6. If we look at the Lord's Prayer, it says, "Our Father in heaven, give us our daily bread, forgive our debts, lead us not into temptation, deliver us from evil." It's very clear in the Bible that we are to live in community, and I don't think it's any different when it comes to our fitness journey. So yes, you will be working one-on-one with me directly, but I'm also going to get you plugged into a private Slack channel, which is essentially a group chat app. And if you join the program, you're going to be met with texts that look just like this. All of the other brothers in Christ who are in the program on a similar weight loss journey, they'll welcome you. We share things like words of encouragement out of the Bible or our devotionals. We also share things like recipes, but really it's just a place for us to hang out and be a supportive community. So if you have prayer requests, post them in there. Praise reports, post them in there. If there's something that you're struggling with or you have a question, throw it in the Slack channel as well. The next sub pillar is going to be beliefs, and I took inspiration out of Romans 12 for this one because it says, "Be transformed by the renewing of your mind." And also in 2 Corinthians 10, it says we're supposed to take captive every thought and make it obedient to Christ. So I want to make sure that we don't have any sort of limiting beliefs that are going to be holding us back from reaching this goal in the first place, because I am a firm believer that if we don't get the upstairs right and tell ourselves that this goal is achievable, then of course we're not going to achieve that goal. So again, we want to identify, bind, and loose any of those limiting beliefs before we do anything else in the program. And then the next sub pillar under the firm foundation is going to be our habits. And there's 2 sides to this. The first side is getting rid of the bad habits that aren't serving the goal. So things like porn addiction, lust, alcoholism, smoking, vaping, playing video games, staying up super late at night and not getting to bed on time. All of those things are not going to serve you in terms of your weight loss goal. So what we want to do is eliminate or reduce those habits, but at the same time, we also want to replace them and set up good habits to make sure that this weight loss is sustainable, because whatever we do to get this weight off in the first place is what we're going to have to do to keep it off. A quick example of that would be something like what we did with Dan, where he was actually able to go for family walks after dinner. He was still being active, he was still doing lifestyle cardio, but he was able to do that and reach his weight loss goals. And that is something that he can do for the rest of his life with his family and his wife. So those are the 3 sub pillars that we have for the firm foundations. And once we have those in check, we can now move on to the second pillar, which is called rebuilding the temple. And this one also has 3 sub pillars. The first one is going to be training. Of course, any important part of a weight loss program is going to be centered around the workout plan. So ultimately, what I want to do is build a training plan together with you that's going to be enjoyable and efficient. What I would want to do is take a look at your schedule with you, see what days can you actually work out. Are you going to be going to a gym? Are you going to be doing the workouts at home? Are there any forms of exercise that you currently enjoy doing that you would like to keep doing? Just because I'm a big proponent of sustainability and adherence, I could come up with a perfect plan for you that's 6 days a week, 45 minutes per session, the perfect amount of lifting, the perfect amount of cardio, and that might seem like an A+ plan, but if you can't stick to it, then it's not an A+ plan, is it? So again, we're going to work together to make sure that this plan actually fits into your lifestyle, and really, I want you to have the feeling of, oh, this is a celebration of my body, I'm honoring my temple and honoring God by doing this, instead of like, oh, like I have to do this because Tyler told me to. I don't want you to have that feeling, right? I want you to look forward to the workout plan that we come up with. Furthermore, once we design that workout plan, I'm going to assign those workouts in a custom branded Physique Lab app. So you can pull up the app and it's going to show you, all right, here are the days that you're working out. You can click on the workouts. You can see the exercises, the sets, the reps, the rest periods. There's video instruction in there. If we're doing any sort of cardio or lifestyle cardio, that will be assigned in there as well. And I can see what you're doing as far as workouts go. So that way I can give you detailed feedback, and I can also hold you accountable because I get notified when you complete those workouts. Once we get you set up on the training plan, we're then going to tackle nutrition as well. And ultimately what I want to do here in the Physique Lab is teach you what I call the superpower. And what I mean by that is still being able to eat the foods that you love in moderation, of course, and still lose weight. And the way that we do that is by tracking calories and macronutrients. So if you're unfamiliar with that concept, that's totally okay. The best analogy that I have for it is, let's say that a brother in Christ came up to you at church and said, hey man, I really want to become better with my finances. What should I do? The first thing that you'll probably suggest to that person is to set up a budget. So what is your income level and where are your expenses? Are your expenses exceeding your income? Are they under your income? Where are those expenses going? What are you spending your money on? It's the same way when it comes to our nutrition. So I want you to think of tracking your calories like keeping a financial budget. Your calorie target is your daily budget for the day, and you can spend that virtually however you want. For example, let's say you have 2,500 calories to quote unquote spend each day, and your friends hit you up, they want to go get some pizza. If you want to spend 500 calories on a slice of pizza, by all means, go for it. I would be absolutely happy to show you how to incorporate that slice of pizza and still see the scale go down. Now, I'm not saying that this program is a license to eat whatever you want, because what I would also want to do is show you how to structure your diet so that those other 2,000 calories come from whole food sources, fruits and veggies, and ultimately you're fueling your body the way it needs to be fueled, and you're still getting all the nutrients that you need. Within this sub-pillar, you'll also get access to a calorie tracking app that's very similar to MyFitnessPal, but in my opinion has a way cooler user interface. And also there is a coaching feature where I can go in and I can see exactly how you're doing in terms of hitting your calorie and macronutrient target goals, but I can also see what kind of foods you're logging, so I can give detailed feedback on how to actually structure your diet to make sure that you are losing this weight. And the last sub-pillar of rebuilding the temple is going to be education. So I have built an online course that goes over all of the previous sub-pillars that we've talked about. So the beliefs, the habits, the training, and the nutrition, because ultimately I want you to learn the why behind everything we're doing in this program. I want you to learn things like, why does training look this way? Why am I eating this much? Why is Tyler suggesting that I eat these types of foods? Because I want this to be your last stop shop when it comes to your health and fitness, meaning that I do not want to see you invest another dollar into another personal trainer, dietitian, nutritionist, life coach, whatever it might be, because I want you to come through this program and be empowered to keep this weight loss result for the rest of your life. And if I've done that, I have successfully done my job. And then the last pillar is what we call kingdom accountability. And there are two sub pillars under this one. And the first sub pillar is going to be weekly check-ins. And what I mean by that is that twice per week, I send out a check-in form inside of the Physique Lab app to monitor your progress. The form is super simple. It takes maybe 30 seconds to a minute to fill out and complete, because I ask questions like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how are you adhering to the training plan? How are you adhering to your calorie and your macronutrient target goals? How are your stress levels, your sleep levels, your digestion, things like that. So I can quickly go through, and if I see that stress is marked at a 9 and sleep is at a 2, I know to call you and say, hey man, what's going on? What do we need to change this week to make sure that we're still progressing towards our goals? In addition to those check-in forms, I will also go through both the nutrition app and the fitness app once per week and give you weekly feedback in the form of a 10-minute video that's recorded via Loom, just like the one that you're watching here. And then the last sub-pillar here under kingdom accountability that goes hand in hand with weekly check-ins is going to be optimization. So this is a 6-month program, and right now, both of us can guarantee that something is 100% going to pop up that tries to get us off track in terms of our weight loss journey. The way that I view this is that I am in your corner at all times, helping you make these training and nutrition adjustments so that way the scale continues to go down. So as we saw earlier, you have a minimum of 2 touch points per week with me from those check-in forms, but you also have 24/7 access to me in the Slack channel and the Physique Lab app as well. So there's messaging functionality in both of those. If something pops up, let me know and let's game plan for it so that we can continue to see the progress that we want to see. And because we're doing all this, hopefully we're going to avoid any plateaus or progress stalling out. But if that does happen, we're tracking all of the right variables and all of the other sub pillars like training and nutrition, so we know exactly what it is we need to change to get that scale moving again. So there's no more guesswork. Now, I know that was a lot of information, but I went ahead and made a summary slide of the program for you guys, so feel free to pause the video, take a screenshot, and look this over right now. I do want to point out that over here in the top left is talking about the training pillar, the bottom left is talking about the nutrition pillar, up here in the top right corner, that's talking about the online course and the access that you would get for that, and then in the bottom right, this is the weekly check-ins and the data optimization side of things. So hopefully after going through the 4-8 men method and all that you'd be getting inside of the program, I hope that you're starting to see just how valuable this method is. But let's do some math. Here is the cost of taking action the traditional way. Let's say you were to go hire a personal trainer. That cost per session is going to be roughly $60 per session. You'll probably see them twice per week minimum, meaning you'll have 8 sessions per month, which is going to cost you about $480 per month, or just under $6,000 per year. And that's just for the personal trainer. You'll also need to hire a nutritionist or a dietitian to help you with that side of things, because we saw earlier, that's 90% of the big picture. That's gonna run you about $100 per session, and you'll have probably 1 session per week coming out to $400 per month or $4,800 per year. And if you want the same level of accountability that we provide here in the Physique Lab, you're gonna have to hire a life coach on top of that personal trainer and nutritionist, and that's gonna run you $120 per session. You'll probably see them once per week as well, which is gonna come out to be $400 per month or $4,800 per year. You also need to factor in the cost of eating out. So right now, it's likely that each time you go out to eat, you're spending at minimum $20, and you're probably doing that twice per week or maybe 8 times per month. And that right there alone is $160 or $1,900 a year that you could save. So if we total that up, you're looking at a cost of about $1,400 per month or $17,000 per year to take action the quote unquote traditional way. So that's the cost of taking action, but let's look at something that most people don't think about either, but that is going to be the cost of inaction or doing nothing. So I went online and I looked at the average expenses for things like obesity and CVD or cardiovascular disease. Obesity alone costs about $1,000 per month in medical expenses or $12.5K per year. CVD expenses are about $1,600 per month or $19K per year. And if you have these current health issues, it's likely that your life insurance costs will be about $50 more than the average person, which totals up to about $600 per year, but multiply that across your entire lifespan, right? And if we're thinking even further into the future, if you don't take care of your physical fitness and you have a lack of mobility, you're out of breath, you really can't do day-to-day chores because you're overweight, it's likely that you're gonna have to go into assisted living, which is probably gonna run you about $3,000 per month or $36,000 per year, and that's just 1 year. If we total that up, that puts you at $5,600 per month or $68,000 per year, which is a lot of money, guys, and that doesn't include any additional costs that you're likely to incur. So you have things like prescription medications, specialized equipment and mobility aids, so canes, walkers, wheelchairs, maybe you can't walk anymore because you're overweight. You have extra doctor visits, miscellaneous hospitalizations. Maybe you're prone to injury because of your current physical fitness level and you have to go into rehab or physical therapy. Maybe there's other diet programs that the doctors recommend for you. You could be put on other supplements as well. Or maybe there's special clothing costs that you have to buy because you have this extra weight and they don't make clothing in your size. And if we total up the cost of inaction here with the cost of taking action from the previous slide, you're looking at about $85,000 per year. And that's not all, guys. There are some other expenses that I want you to consider as well. So what's the cost per month or cost per year for you for having low self-esteem levels? What about reduced daily energy levels? Or decreased productivity at work? Or how about having a lower quality of life? Or the fact that you're carrying this extra weight is leading you to go into social isolation? Or what about having reduced life expectancy? So I looked this one up, and if you are obese, it's likely that you will cut 5 to 20 years off of your life. So let's just average that and say it's around 10 years. What are those extra 10 years with your wife and your kids and your friends worth to you? What about all of the money that you're missing out on because you have to take time off of work to go on all of these doctor visits? Or what about a reduced earning potential or even relationship strain, whether that's something with your spouse? So maybe right now you're lacking intimacy with your spouse because you're overweight. What does that cost to you? Or what if you know that you're not the father that you want to be to your children because you're out of shape and you don't have the energy to play with them? Like, what is that costing you per month? What is that costing you per year? Unfortunately, I can't answer that for you, but let's say we just put that at somewhere around $100,000 per year, which in my opinion, I think it's way more than that. That would put you at a grand total of $185,000 that it's costing you to not take action on this goal. And if you were to ask me, I would argue that this type of weight loss transformation is priceless. But the important question here is, do you see it that way? But let me illustrate that with an example. Let's say I was going to sell you a Ferrari for $5,000. If you had that money, you would give it to me in an instant because you see the value in that Ferrari. And if you didn't have that money, you'd probably bend over backwards to find it, wouldn't you? You would be exploring things like PayPal credit or Affirm that would allow you to take that $5,000, give it to me, and then pay monthly payments to Affirm. So that way you could get your hands on that Ferrari sooner rather than later. You'd probably be asking your friends and family for money. Maybe you go to the bank to take out a loan. Maybe you max out your credit cards. Maybe you start selling your personal belongings like a car or your sofa or a TV. You would do whatever it takes to find that money. Whatever option you took to come up with that money, you would find a way because you see the value in that car. You know that you could buy it for $5,000, turn around and sell it for upwards of hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? Now, my program is not $5,000, but here's my question for you. If you're willing to do something like that for a Ferrari, why are you not willing to do that same thing for your health? Because your health is worth way more than a fancy car.